to bend phrase and time into something clever.
Okay, I have to make a video where I'm not all sad because I have to I have one of those faces that, you know, I think a truly beautiful person is beautiful even when they're sad. In fact, I think beauty pageants, the contestants should have to get on stage and look sad. And the ones that are still beautiful when they're looking sad, those should be the ones that are the finalists. That's what I think. And probably they'd all look beautiful sad. That's probably why they make it. I mean, anyway. But that's what I think. I think that truly, that I'm talking physical beauty. I'm not talking about the inner beauty. I'm talking about superficial physical beauty. I think a truly beautiful person looks attractive even when they're sad. And I am not one of those people. I look at pictures of me, like there's a couple videos on YouTube where I am very sad. Oh my gosh, I could, you know, it's amazing I didn't break the camera. I don't care, you know, I look at it this way. People like me make those truly beautiful people look special, stand out, make them exceptional. If everybody was gorgeous would be normal, or it would be ordinary. It would be boring. Oh, there's another gorgeous person. Yawn. It's because of people like me that make those gorgeous people just stand out, you know? So we all have our parts to play in life. Anyway, so I'm trying to do a happy video to kind of get the lines of the face to go back up. Yeah, see, I look better when I'm not sad. You know, I'm one of those people who have to work at it, and I mean, this is just a word of advice to everybody. Beautiful people too. You look better when you smile. You know, if you want to attract people to you, if you want to attract people wherever you go, of the opposite sex, of the same sex, whatever, smiling is a good first step. The saddest thing about depression, this isn't even supposed to be a video about depression, but we're going off course here. The saddest thing about depression is it puts a sad expression on your face. And depressed people, a lot of the reason why they're depressed is because they're lonely. They feel utterly, completely friendless. And they go out in the world with this sad, despondent look on their face, and nobody wants to go anywhere near them. You know, people run the other way from sad. Nobody wants to be around somebody who's a downer, who gets, you know, it's like being, you know, it's like everybody's been in a room where you're all happy and then this dark cloud just walks into the room. This person who's sad, it's like a dark cloud on a beautiful sunny day. And nobody wants that. So anyway, that's the hard thing about depression, is it actually creates more depression for the person. Self-perpetuating, I think, is the word I'm trying for. Anyway, I'm saying anyway a lot, sorry. No, today I was listening to, I've never actually listened to Psi 10 Bruden Cat or whatever his name is. I just know that Bible thumping wingnut it's like his idol. So first I listened to Matt Dillahunty talk about a very dishonest tactic that Psi pulled when he tried to debate this guy. And, you know, basically pretended to be his friend, kind of did a Matthew 4:19 thing, pretended to be his friend, be his friend, agrees with everything he says, right up until the end when they give their final little bits, and it's like the last thing you say so that the other person doesn't have a chance to come back and rebut it, okay? That's when Psi 10 pulls out the big guns and starts telling, oh, you know, there's no such thing as secular morality, and da-da-da-da-da, and just totally, it's like he two-faced, dishonest person, you know, at the end, and you know, just to get the final word, it's just like Matthew 4:19 at the end of that thing with the 8 atheists. He, you know, final say time, gets to do his little preaching. It's just very dishonest tactics. But anyway, so I listened to this debate between, well, I didn't listen to the debate. I listened to Matt Dillahunty talk about secular morality. There's a lot of videos on it on YouTube. It's very good stuff. And he describes this debate that he has with whatever, Psy. And it just sounds like, you know, wow, this is the most dishonest person. He would never go out drinking with this person because, wow, you know. So then I'm curious, okay, I want to know what this guy's about, so I try watching him, and he is so arrogant. Not only does he just, oh, everybody knows there's a God, and the only thing he has to base that on is a book that says that in like one sentence. Oh, ooh, it's a book, and it says this, so it's true. But he calls this book knowledge, and people who don't believe in the Bible or don't see the Bible as, you know, we deny or we reject knowledge. I don't talk to people who reject knowledge, is what he says. You know, before you can prove that God exists, all right, before you can prove that there's a God, you have to prove that he exists. Before you can prove that the Bible is knowledge, you have to prove that it's correct. And I'm sorry, but it has been proven in so many ways to not be correct. So I'm sorry, the Bible is not knowledge. There might be little bits of actual history in it. There might be actual characters it mentions that actually lived in history, but it is not historically accurate. There's so many more things that are. The bits of wisdom in it come from older pagan religions. It's plagiarized stuff from older religions. It's not knowledge. And just because this book says that everybody knows that there's a God, and that's what they base their argument on as presuppositional apologists. They have, oh, we skip the whole need to produce evidence for a God. You already know there's a God, don't you? And if you say you don't, it's only because you're in denial, because this phrase in the Bible says this, so you're, you know, whatever. It's a lazy approach to. It's like, you know, you've tried every other way to debate atheists. Every other way, and have failed. Failed. Because why? You have no evidence to support anything. So this is your way of trying to stay afloat. This is your way of trying to survive and keep this poisonous little lie of yours going. Oh, well, we'll just skip right over the whole need for evidence stuff. We've tried really hard. And we get shot down every time, so we're going to come up with this little dance. Except, you know, I was, curiosity, I looked up the definition for presuppositional apologists, and I looked up the definition to another word that sounds similar. Presumptuous. Yeah, I looked up the definition for presumptuous because I think it's kind of presumptuous of a presuppositional apologist to say that we all know about God. We all know God exists based on what a book says. Definition for presumptuous: overstepping due bounds as a propriety or a courtesy, taking liberties. Yeah, I'd say it's taking liberties to tell somebody what they believe. Sorry, you do believe in God. You might think you don't, but you do. Because my book says you do, so you do. And so I don't have to produce evidence for what you already know exists. I win. That's basically what presuppositional apologists say, and they're presumptuous. It's presumptuous. It's an arrogant, presumptuous position to take. And they call their little book knowledge. This book that's been proven to be erroneous in so many ways, that's knowledge. Never mind that it actually is incorrect according to actual history. It's knowledge, yeah. So, yeah, I guess I understand now why. Well, I guess it's just the new joke. Presuppositional apologists are like the new joke around town, right? Anybody who's everything I've seen on YouTube about people who've dealt with them, it's all the same reaction. It's people laughing. It's like I'm sorry, they're just the joke, and they're walking around. Oh, I'm presuppositional apologists. It's like, hello, do you not understand that nobody takes you seriously? Nobody. And oh, this one video I watched, Sci-10 actually gets kicked off the stage for being so fucking rude to the other people. It's like, I'm sorry. Your brain doesn't work anymore. You can't argue like a normal person using reason and actual, when I was a Christian, actually I have to go back further. When I was an early Christian in the 1980s, I was an adult, and I had been a Christian for about 10 years by that time. We argued for Christianity in normal ways. We had to learn verses in the Bible, and not just the warm fuzzy verses that say that everybody knows God already, so I don't have to argue, I don't have to do any work. Or not the warm fuzzy verses that say you're a fool if you don't believe what I believe. Not verses like that, but the other warm fuzzy verses. Why you should become a Christian. Why God loves you. Verses like that. Those are the stuff we had to learn. And those are the kind of things that we had to, that was our ammo against non-believers, was the other warm fuzzy verses, not the few that you've picked out that let you off the hook completely, so you don't even have to debate atheists. Well, you don't even acknowledge my knowledge, so I'm not even going to talk to you. You do believe in God. Come back to me when you can admit that you do. It's like, okay, so you can't win, so you're just going to do that now. That's your new game, and it's so transparent. You're just like a huge waste of space, and anybody who tries to, who puts aside time to debate these people, Matthew 4:19, Bible thumping wingnut, I don't know how many there are. Any serious atheist who puts time into debating these people, they really have nothing better to do with their life, do they? And I know these people do. So it's what? Politeness. It's politeness. The atheists are being polite, or maybe they're just trying yet again to help somebody see the light of reason. I think most atheists are nice people, and it's all our, in our best interest that more people see reason, because it's the delusion that is causing so much harm in this world. And the more people that do what I did, that actually start questioning what these beliefs are, really start questioning, like I did my video yesterday that I made, actually, yeah, it was last night, talking about, imagine if even just one person you know and care about is in hell. How would that make you feel? I mean, all a Christian needs to do is really think about things. Think about their religion. Think about what the beliefs are. That's all it takes to start really, I didn't really think about it like that. Oh my God. Instead of just the blind, oh no, God loves you because the book says. So yeah, it was one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I'm trying to remember now. On the subject, it was actually on the subject. Oh, the secular morality thing that Matt Dillahunty's talking about. Psy is like, well, if there's no God, where do you get your morals from? Over and over, and I guess according to Matt, this is a hot topic. Everybody's talking about secular morality and how we get our morals. Where do we get our morals if they don't come from God? Seriously? This is another one. Why are people wasting their time? It's a waste of time talking to presuppositional apologists. I'm sorry, they're lazy-ass Christians who don't want to do the work like we used to do the work. And talking about where our morality comes from if it doesn't come from God. Hello? Am I the only one that had a normal, well, I can't call my childhood normal, but mostly it was normal. Am I the only one? I learned from a very young age, Diane, it's not nice to bite people. Diane, it's not nice to punch people. Diane, it's not nice to stomp on people's feet. Diane, it's not nice to lie. Diane, it's not nice to steal. These were all things I learned from my mom. And because I have a pretty, on average, I have a pretty average IQ. And so my average IQ was able to branch out from those basic things that my mom taught me. Well, my dad too, but only for a short time. What I learned from those basic things is people don't like people who hurt them, you know. So then there's a whole category of things, and I'm also applying it to me. I don't like people hitting me. I don't like people spitting at me or pinching me or stepping on my feet. I don't like people stealing from me or lying to me. Right? So I'm putting all this together in my brain, and oh, I don't know, I'm four years old at this point, and that develops over time into, ooh, it's really not nice to hurt somebody. It's really, really, really not nice to kill somebody. You know, anything that you don't want to be done to you, that is how you know other people probably wouldn't want that to be done with them either. Hence, morality. That's how I got my morality. It had absolutely nothing to do with an imaginary friend. And how do I know something is right and something is wrong? There's lots of shades of gray in there. I mean, those are the black and white, real obvious things like killing and hurting somebody and lying and stealing. You know those are wrong. Those are really easy to figure out, but there's a lot of shades of gray things, you know, that aren't quite as obvious, not quite as, like sociopathic behavior, like the guy who came and lived with me and pretended to be my friend so I would take care of him, you know, and while he was here, he was a nice person, you know, he gave me the benefit of his company so I wasn't lonely, so it's not like I completely didn't get anything out of the situation. I got a companion for 3 years. You know, so he can justify that in his head. Well, I was there for her for 3 years. You know, I was her friend for 3 years. I gave her my time for 3 years. So he can justify what he did. You know, he doesn't have to look at it like, well, you know, I knew all along that the moment I got better, I was going to hamstray and she'll never see me again. And I was going to treat her like shit because I didn't want to be reminded of my illness. He's not going to think about all that stuff, you know. That's just it. When it comes to the shades of gray, that's when it comes more into the person, the individual person's sense of what is right and wrong. That's when an individual, you know, I'm going to think that what he did is wrong because I would never do that to somebody else. But I'm not him, and in his world, that might not have been wrong, you know. When we find out what's right and wrong is when we end up in jail. You know, that's the ultimate control device in society. If you know, if what he did went up a couple notches where he took all my money, you know, because there are sociopaths like that who do what he did only on a much bigger scale, you know, like the guy who imprisoned those 3 women and kept them as sex slaves for 10 years, you know. That's way up there on the scale, and he's in prison for the rest of his life, isn't he? So there's consequences for people who do things that are, you know, they might think there's nothing wrong with it because that's their sense of morality, and their sense of morality isn't quite in line with what society is, you know, allows. They end up in jail, you know. But I just know myself, my little guide is called my conscience. If I do something, if I know something is kind of in the gray area and I'm not really quite sure if that's the right thing to do, but I do it anyway, and then I feel guilty. I know that deep down inside, I know that wasn't right, and I feel bad. Even though while I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, I think it's okay, I think it's okay. After it's done, I feel guilty, and I don't like how that feels. I don't like how it makes me feel. I feel bad. Maybe I won't do that again. That's how I'm driven. That's how I work. My morality is guided. I'm talking about the gray areas, not the real obvious areas. I'm talking about the shades of gray in between the two obvious. My conscience tells me, it punishes me when I do something wrong by making me feel very guilty and bad that I did it. My conscience, if I do something good, if I do something nice and right, I feel good. I feel happy. I feel like, yes, I'm a good person. I just did something really nice for somebody. That's my reward, and it makes me want to go do that kind of thing again for somebody. That's my reward. That's my little carrot. And that's what drives my morality. It's my conscience that I have inside, and the feelings that I get depending on what I do. If it's right, I feel good. If it's wrong, I feel bad. If I'm a sociopath, I don't feel anything, and I keep doing bad, and I end up in jail. So that's where morality comes from. At least that's my belief. That's what I feel. And if somebody asked me, how do you get morality without God? That's my answer. That's how it's been working for me. And, it's been that way through my entire life, even when I was a Christian. I never got my morality from a book. I never got my morality from a warm, fuzzy feeling inside that came from an imaginary friend. I've always gotten my morality this way. But when I was a Christian, I gave credit to God for something that was just part of my nature, already in me. I had it since I was a little kid. I still have it today. It didn't go away when I stopped being a Christian. It didn't suddenly appear when I started being a Christian. It's always been. Everybody has it. The only people that don't have it are people who are wired differently, like sociopathic people, or people with, the new term for that is antisocial personality disorder. That's a new term. People are actually born with little to no conscience, and it's because their brain is wired a little bit differently, and they don't have a conscience, or they have a very, very small one. And those are the people that struggle in society. Those are the ones that hurt people, and they might not even realize. This guy who lived with me, I'm trying to forgive him, because I do think he had, and I'm talking, there's different levels of sociopathic behavior, sociopathic personalities, or antisocial personality disorder. It's a nicer way to say it. People who are at the extreme are the ones that run around killing people. And then there's people who are just a little bit, and they do things like this guy did to me. He probably, when he was here, probably didn't look at it like he was using me or taking advantage of my feelings. He probably didn't see that he was doing bad, because I don't think his conscience is quite the same as mine. So anyway, this is getting too long, so I'm going to cut it short. Well, I think we're past that point of being short. I'm going to cut it now before it becomes really long. And that's my thoughts about presuppositional presumptuous apologists, and my thought on secular morality, which I think we all have it, and I think it's really sad that people are wasting their time trying to explain where it comes from when there's no God. It's like the most obvious thing in the world. I don't understand why people even talk about this. It's like, hello? I've had it since I was as far back as I can remember. And it goes back to my mom telling me, Diane, it's not nice to lie. It's not nice to steal. Making me take things back when I stole toys from a next door neighbor's sandbox one day, and I brought it home, and my mom made me go back and actually knock on the door and give it to the other kids' parents. And oh my God, I was so ashamed. Stuff like that. We learn it from very small age. We never lose it. Christianity just wants to take the credit for that. And I'm sorry, but they don't get to. And what's his face? Side 10, what's his face? Says that we atheists, or people who aren't Christians, we borrow from the Christian whatever lifestyle or whatever. No, I'm sorry. You don't get to have a monopoly on living as a nice person. That's not your jurisdiction. There's lots of people who are nice people that aren't Christians, and we're not borrowing from you. So, okay, that's another video maybe, I don't know, but that's what I got today watching those videos, and that's what I think about that. So, if you've been watching, thank you for watching. Bye.